Welcome back, everyone, here on Arunfoot. My name is Arunfoot Chaudhary, and I have back with me Akshata. Thank you, Akshata, for taking time off your busy schedule to join me here late night to talk a little bit about the Indian women's national team as well as the men's national team. Of course, we had the women facing Uzbekistan, a goalless draw today, and on the other side, the men's big game coming up in a couple of days against Kuwait. Let's talk about the women's game. Let's talk about your opinion on the game against Uzbekistan.
Thank you for having me, Anu. I think today's match was better than the last one. It was not great, but there were a lot of improvements from the previous game. At least that's what I personally felt. We took more chances. There were 3 goals on shot. Unfortunately, we could not convert them. And then there were 2 incredible saves from Shreya Huda. But again, we cannot ignore the basics where we are going wrong. One thing that happened, the one good thing that happened in the last match was that was acknowledged that there were a lot of mistakes made. So you could see that the learning points were taken. There was a lot more spirit in the team also. It did feel like they were fighting for a win or at least a draw. So that was evident. But yes, a long road ahead for us. long road ahead.
I think that's the scary part, right? I think things look better. I was disappointed also from what I saw today from Uzbekistan. I thought they were better the other day, right? And the quality of the game wasn't the best. I felt. I don't know. It was just worrying. And again, you and Hiren had stopped your life before I joined, so that was that. But again, yeah, it talks about we can talk about that, the situation in regard to we have to talk about the coach.
Anu, I lost your voice. I think. I don't know if others can hear you.
Sorry. Did I just?
Yeah. Now it's fine.
Sorry.
Now it's back.
So for me, it's the question of where do we stand, and what needs to be done to get the result that we want and that we need.
Yeah. Long road. I mean, again, coming to the coach point that you pointed out, Arnav, don't you think that we need another coach now? And these 2 friendlies were sort of a test from that front as well. If we want to, become bigger in the long run, we will have to make that call, right?
I think yes. I think if we want to be bigger, if we want to be seen as being more important, perceived to be more important, I think we need to be there. But again, I discussed it yesterday here in regard to our situation regarding the appointments of national teams, and if you look at under 16, under 19s, we're now bringing in people on a temporary basis. Right, so that is a worrying idea or approach. What I say is, are we ready to do what is needed to get us the results? So therefore, yeah, it's a very complicated scenario.
But I mean, if in fact, I was doing a live before this, and somebody asked who can be the next coach of Indian men's team, also for that matter. And what worries me, Arnav, is that even if Igor goes tomorrow, like day after, if he goes after day after, if we lose that match, but then who will replace him? And will that person have the capability to manage a team like ours in a federation like ours?
I think that's the biggest challenge at the moment for the AFF, in regard to where does the federation stand, how is the federation structured, can the federation actually survive this whole scenario of problems that they have, and therefore to me, that's a very challenging scenario, right? I mean, that for the federation, they'll have to find answers and solutions to these problems. And I think I've heard from 1 or 2 people who potentially in the past would have said they would like to, become Indian national team coach, be it men's or women's. I think a lot of people will give it a pass, So therefore, that's a reality which I find very, very disturbing, to say the least, that we are in a situation of people not wanting to join the AFF given the scenario. And today, of course, is another sad day, I have to say, because in the afternoon, the news came out that Anel Kut, who was assistant secretary, general secretary, and head of operations of the federation, died 2 days before such a game. And Anil has been, or is for me, one of the unsung heroes of Indian football, because he's sort of done a lot, kept the system running, and yeah. Again, a lot of, and people were already telling me on Twitter, oh, you know what, he did a bad job. How can you say? And all. And then you realize people don't even know what this person or what these people have actually done for Indian football, and that's a, yeah, disturbing thing to say, at least.
Can you tell us a little bit about his work, Anwar?
He started locally in Goa, and was working with his local clubs. Was amongst others with Salsate FC, where Albert Colasso comes from. Who then became the secretary in the early 2000s. Albert brought him to the AFF. Initially, they were operating out of a small little dingy office of the Nehru Stadium, which is Fatorda, and on the other side. They then sort of together moved to Delhi when Football House was built with the FIFA development program, and Anil has been a key person in the background in regard to operations, ensuring that tournaments are organized, trying to keep things in budget. And sometimes he said, you know what, if things are good or bad, but again, I have to try and keep the system running. What I've been seeing generally about the AFF, I think that Anil is one of those people within the federation who've tried to do it, and I will give him the credit for that, because again, his thing is that it's not easy to keep an AFF running with all the issues and problems that there are, not in the AFF and also in Indian football.
Yeah, that's true.
So
We
these are
really hope
the
the
these are
family gets the strength to lead
yeah,
from this
and that's
and he's at
the
peace.
that's the sad part. And and then people are throwing mud at these kind of people who've is dedicated his life to football. Again, did he do everything wrong? Anil himself was more of a say, no, I didn't do everything right. But again, we have people in Indian football who have done stuff, who do things, and who try and do things for the best. But yeah, either they're not seen or acknowledged, or and that's something which I find very difficult at this given time and moment.
Yeah. And especially on a day when someone loses their life, you should be human enough not to say things such as
I
this.
think social media is that open space that anybody can say anything and everything. And again, I know these things. And hi Kumar, Skilon is sort of crying because of Sunil. And Sanskar, I'll come to your question after that. That I think one should have a certain level of decorum, certain level of respect towards people. And I know anyone and everyone can have an opinion, but you need to have an in an informed
Opinion.
um, opinion on things. That is something which I see is a bit of an issue. And yes, welcome to Akshata. And that is something which I feel is something of an issue, right? Where we can talk about things, and see how we can take things forward. And yeah, it's I see it's a huge challenge at the moment. And it's we've I don't know if you followed, a few days ago was this whole sort of controversy between Rahul KP and the Kerala Blasters fans, who were sort of abusing him. And he then actually hit back, and then abused even some of the Kerala Blasters fans for the abuse they were throwing at him. And then I say, it's you can be fans, you can be upset, you can have a bad opinion about people, but don't get personal. I always try and say, listen, I can criticize the player on the field. I've had this discussion with the players also. I say, I just I will talk about your performance. I will if need be, I will speak badly about your performance, but I will not personally attack you. And that
But
is
you've
something
all
which
dealt that with KVFC fans, right?
it's very difficult.
Unfortunately.
But it's not only it's generally, I think, fans in that way. And around the world, I think it's a bit of a problem, in my opinion, that it's that things have changed in such a way that people are willing to hit out with opinions, and say things which they would never say in your face.
Yeah, true.
So. That's one thing, and I hope, that that day after, again, I'm not sure, and it's something.
Kumar, just to rectify, I did not make fun of someone crying on national media. I made fun of the fact that the anchors offered to sing. That was it. I didn't make fun of the person who was crying.
The guy is trying to save his job. He has screwed up completely, and you're crying on national TV. you know then you can have an opinion. Again, don't get personal. But
Oh,
this is the point, right? Kumar, is like what you were saying about the Western world the last couple of days. Is I can't agree. I mean, I've been born and brought up in the Western world, and I think I can have an opinion on that. And this is something which I also say in football. People have an opinion about football without having, watching a football game, following social media, following media reports, following even conversation like ours or other creators, doesn't mean you understand what is really happening. I think
yeah,
if Akshat and I would now do a stream about talking about the realities of Indian football, everyone would be shocked, because we talk about 2 to 5% of what really happens. And I will not be, someone who's going to throw with stones in a glass house. It doesn't make sense, because I work on the other side as well, and that's the challenge. That's the difficulty in Indian football. There are so many things. Then
yeah,
that's the thing. And
yeah.
Kumar, no one's going to give $35 trillion back to India. Where do you have this calculation from? Right? That's the thing. How much money have Indians earned abroad and sent back to India? How do you treat your own NRIs? Let's talk about that. Um, and if you see, South Africa is a very good example. Is South Africa today better government by its own people, or was it governed better earlier? So let's talk about it. A city like Kolkata still lives off the infrastructure that the British have built 150 years ago. So these are realities. You want to take it, don't want to take it. Am I
Indian
justifying
Railways also a
Huh?
lot of setup. We are still
So
relying on a
so
lot of
so
things
I
that
don't
were
need to
done there.
I don't need to justify colonialism. I just need to justify things that are real. And Akshat and I were talking the other day, right? Global warming is something which, again, I don't need to tell others to change the way they do things. If a city like Delhi doesn't change itself, then this 52 degrees was just the start of things. It'll be 60 degrees in a few years. So
True.
I don't live in a fake world. I live in a real world. I try to be honest and pragmatic in my approach, and that is something a lot of people are not. They try and justify things for the sake of justifying things. But there are things that have happened. There are good things and bad things in history, and that's, again, certain people take sides, or certain people take don't sides. And again, I think today is a perfect day with, we don't need to talk about the election results, but then you realize, that is how a democracy works. But coming back to Indian football, when you see the women's national team, the way they were playing, and I mean, Akshata, you and I have seen them play in the last few years. This is nowhere near where they were, and they've
So
been.
I have this question, Anwar. Like, I mean, do we kind of in these camps end up unlearning some important things that maybe we learned in the IWL?
We could ask the same question about the men's national team, right? Because we've seen players in the ISL
Yeah,
play.
it works, right, both ways for both the teams. Do you think that's the case?
It is. I think that in the national teams at the moment, men's and women's players are not getting better. That's my biggest concern. Men's
No, but
and women's.
not better. I'm not talking about better. Do you think in that camp and in that time, it's just doing more harms to the players because the training is getting impacted, and in a way, when you don't perform well for your national team, it also leaves an impact on your mind somewhere, right? So, do you think it's somewhere doing more harm than it's doing good?
Um,
Same की बात नहीं है.
it's a good question. If you ask me from that perspective, I would say that it is. You know, it's. I mean, the men's team. I've said a few times. I feel I see too many things happening in the gym. I think they should be spending more time on the field. And the same can be said about the women. At some stage in the second half, I was felt, some. I think they're trying to shoot the ball as high as they can. you know, trying to avoid to concede, and it looked like it was, it was like grassroots football happening, and we're watching an international game. So for me, it wasn't good enough, or is not good enough. So the question then is, are they training the right things? Why is not the confidence there of trying to play something of the sorts? But even
And
if you're trying to play,
adaptability. My issue is that तुमको समझ आना चाहिए ना कि कहाँ बॉल फेंकनी है मतलब आपका रिफ्लेक्स एक्शन एक स्ट्रॉन्ग it comes only with practice,
but
but you're
that
not
is the
using
thing.
those
I
reflexes.
I sometimes feel, as bad as it might sound, but I think national team coaches in an Indian context need to work on the basics, that you actually have sessions, maybe 3 sessions a week, where you actually do the basics: stop the ball, pass the ball, play a long ball wide, play a straight pass, those kind of things. Very basic things seem to be, that's it's very 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 problematic. And Arnab has a point. Few players can't even pass with their weak feet. That's disastrous, and that's one. But they can't even pass with their strong foot. You know. And again, Ishan saying, yeah, not to mention the unusual number of injuries that occurred in national camp. Yeah, then the medical department in the national team has to be questioned as well, right? And
The
we are
decisions also,
suffering.
Sandesh. I don't. What is Sandesh's situation?
ACL
Yeah, I mean, but recovery. When can we expect him back?
towards the end of the year. It's not his first, no. So that's the problem, na. Akash Mishra, okay, picked up in the ISL, and again we've talked about it, that these guys, when you potentially could be on a serious injury, go off, and they don't. So those are small little things that I'm realizing that we need to sort of think about, when things need to happen, and it's not so easy to do and come back things, and yeah, that's how things are at the moment, no.
Ayush has asked any suggestions for next coach. I have one suggestion. Please start to meditate a lot if you're thinking of becoming the coach of Indian men's women's national team. Please meditate a lot so that you have the mental bandwidth to manage us.
And Raj, I mean, someone has asked this question a few times in the last few days and weeks, and I always said is, I don't want someone from the ISL to come in. I want an external coach to come in, and and be running the national team. You know, so therefore. And Ishan's sad reality is, a lot of national team players look like they have never been coached, and that's the thing. No? And then the question has to be asked is that do the players really want to play? Uh, you know, so therefore it's something. I was on a stream with Drogba Ba just a little while with Musa, of Playmaker India, and it's difficult, right? Because I think we all want India to win. But again, the implication is, okay, third round three, brilliant, great, I'm happy. But theoretically, Costima's contract gets extended by 2 years. So we're sort of in this weird scenario of, do you actually want that? And
And then
with
if
the
that
women's,
gets extended, he will not leave. He to
ex-
definitely is not going to
exactly, and his
leave.
and his salary gets increased as well. Does the AFF have that money for the salary increase? And Arnab has a very interesting point. I was seeing the Indian women match. I saw better gameplay and tactics while following Shribhumi FC and IWL2. Uzbeks were toying with us, and that's the scary part, huh? That even in so yeah. So therefore, I'm if I look at, and the problem to me is that I would have said the women's team is much closer to a potential World Cup than the men's. But now it seems the women are also truly moving further away from a World Cup, right? And sort of, let the others take over. I mean, we're already struggling as Bangladesh in the South region. So that's something which is, and Sabitra is playing now for Guingamp in the French Women's League, even scoring goals, you know. So, very, 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 how I mean, actually, as a football fan, you were watching, you were trying to do a live with Hiren. What does it do with you and with your energy, so to say?
I don't know. Anyway, like the what annoys me so much is that not many people talk about women's football in India. Technically, last match 1,000 people were watching, including both Uzbekistan and India people. Today, 3,000 people were watching the match. So this is the total number of people. I couldn't see
from
people
from from two countries.
from two countries. So anyway, there is a lack. The number of people who watch the sport is less. Women's वाला part देख लो तो और कम है. And you have to constantly convince people. That is the fact. Unfortunately, you have to convince people that please watch women's football. Please watch women's football. As if like we are begging for something. It does feel like that, right? It does feel like it's a charity sport. And when you're doing this, you're wanting to you want people to talk about it. You're trying to do something. And when you see that for the people you're trying to fight or make the changes, they themselves are not putting up the best foot. When they are doing that, then how will you feel the what's worrying me is that even I'm losing the will to do this when I don't see the change. And then I
and
have to
and
pick up
and
those
and we
small
saw it today in
victories.
Hiren, right? Hiren was in that situation that Hiren sort of gave
Yeah.
up. I felt. I
Yeah,
don't know
the
what
same
you
thing
felt.
happened last match also. The last match also we stopped midway because we could see that nothing was happening. We did watch the whole match. Of course, we do watch the whole match. But the will to watch it with people and then to do a stream and then to encourage people to support the team, it just goes away. And again, I told this to Hiren also in the evening. There was this one picture of Thomas Dennerby after the last match that was played with him as the coach, and he was just sitting, on that stand with he just looked so deflated that day,
Yeah, yeah, and
and you
that's
could see the kind of investment that he had put. So
and
we
again
improve, then we come back.
he's been one of the best coaches in women's football around the world. So I mean, I
And
think people don't understand that we had a high level coach, really high level coach in the women's game in coaching the Indian team. So yeah,
And it did not
and
ever look like he was getting the support also. And technically, I don't think he got the support that he should have been given in order for us to
I
improve. Even
I
then, there was a will to
I
fight.
think he got it even during COVID. I think the erstwhile AFF tried to give him the support. I mean, think about it. They sent them to Brazil during COVID. They tried to do everything, but again, and this is Ishan has a very valid point. To be honest, a problem started with the breach of COVID bubble as far as women's football is concerned, and that is, I think there can be a turning point for good. This to me felt like it's a turning point for bad. After that, it has been. I at least correct me if I'm wrong, but in the last 2.5 years, I felt that things have gone backwards in the women's game. Right? Despite people will tell you, oh, you know what, we've got IWL, IWL2, IWL is now home and away, this, that, everything. It's like nice to have, but what is your one of your mistakes? You're bringing already foreigners too early because suddenly all the striker positions are taken up by foreigners. You're not even playing your best. Why is the Bala Devi not there? Your top scorers, you want to play nationals, and then in the game at least pick up the players, no?
But I don't know, over here, a lot of people had that point that because if these were friendly, so youngsters should be given a chance. But I also agree with your point. It's not that, matches की line लगी है हमारे लिए.
I
मतलब, I
think
would have got. so,
I think
so we need to test the best foot.
we need to find the middle ground, and to me it says it's finding the right way of moving forward, and this is a problem I see at Indian football at the moment. So I mean, Kumar, I think you have enough courage to watch both matches. I saw the Uzbek India women first match for 50 minutes, then I had band karo. I cannot watch anymore. See, Kumar, I understand that feeling, but be it now men's or women's, be it club sides that I like to watch, I'll watch till the end. And Rakshit and I actually did. We were actually when I
We
joined this
watched the
team. We
last
were
match
in
of
it.
the live, I think.
So we watched the last match also till the end. So right or wrong, that's a different discussion. But so therefore that's something. Yeah, it's.
And
Do we
Anwar,
have
what,
female?
what scares me so much is that these are the players from Odisha. I've seen Gokulam, Kerala. These are not players from a Hops or other teams that like Setu FC. Say this one player from Setu FC who played today, or teams who are not amongst the top three.
So
If
so so
our
that's
top team players teams are giving this, then we have to worry. And this is the case with both
this
ISL
this
and
is
IWL.
this is again, even if you again, as I said, Pala Devi is the only one who want to take a striker. Again, Manisha was also not there. But if I'm taking the best from Gokulam and I'm taking the best from Odisha, and it looks like that some of them have not played football for the last 3 months, then it's concerning. And to answer Ishan's questions, are there PIOs, OCIs? Yes, they are. I mean, for example, down the road from here, from me, Manju Wilder, captain of FC Cologne, is willing to play for India. But Manju has a German passport, is an under 20 World Cup winner. No, we're not talking about altu faltu. We're talking about top level players who could, American colleges are full of players. I mean, tomorrow I can put you a team together of OCI women and they'll take us to the World Cup. That's what Philippines has done. So, PIOC is not a government, it doesn't matter on gender. It's a problem. And it's very interesting to see whoever forms the new government that if this topic is going to be looked at or not. And if I look at, Raj Singh, just like Hamza Chaudhary joining Bangladesh, can just joining 2-3 OCI can turn around the results. And I think yes, but I don't even think that 2-3, I think we'll get even more because the quality is there around the world. So that is the challenge, right?
But
Which
interesting
is which
time
is
for
very hard.
Indian sports, huh? Anwar? Like we have a new government now. T20 World Cup has started, and interestingly, even Hiren didn't know that the T20 World Cup has started. So even cricket is in a testing phase because we have not really won an ICC tournament in a long time. The sport that we are investing all our
But I think
money
it's
and
cricket. I think
energy
is a
in.
different problem. It's overkill. It's overkill. I think Akshata. There's too much of
Yeah,
cricket.
yeah, yeah. But Olympics happening, we are realistically going to get two medals. So where is India going as a nation that thinks of itself as a sporting nation or an upcoming sporting nation?
And Ishan, I think point or observation or feeling, I have the same one, that this intensity, this the will to fight, desire, that this if you from your head are giving 5 or 10% less, it will not be enough. That is the concern, uh, and that's the reality. And Anna, Bangladesh can beat India soundly if they add two OCI players. They are
Even
having, I mean,
without,
the
I think.
biggest talent in the US who's perceived to be the new Messi is of Bangladeshi German origin, right?
But I know they can beat us without OCI players also, right? Like considering how they
on
are
on on
investing
their
in
day they can
on
do that.
Indian
Yes,
football.
sorry to forget that. Yes, you're very right, that can also happen, right? So that's the real concern, no, for us.
But
Can
Abhi, I
we
know what is happening. Like, is AFF functioning properly?
um they're functioning, certainly. I mean, I think when they're trying to do whatever is needed, in um, in keeping the system running. I think again, in that aspect, Amir Kamat's loss, uh, is another blow, because to keep the system running, I think people like Anil is needed. A steady hand, who knows to work with limited budgets. Younger people is it's going to be difficult. And again, Satya, I think, is trying to keep the system running. I think the question is, the government needs to be asked why, despite having someone who's supposedly seen to be close to the government, has been brought in as the president, but the government has really abandoned Indian football. and that's something which is very tricky, very difficult, to take and discuss, and how it's going to happen, what is going to happen, how it's going to go forward. And again, Bangladesh can beat us, and again, hailing from West Bengal, it's my worst nightmare. I want to understand. And again, they nearly beat us in Salt Lake. Adil Khan saved us that day. Yeah, 2019, right? Late header from Adil Khan, I think 87th or 88th minute, that saved us. These are the realities of where we stand at the moment. And this is something, again, that I would love to rather talk about, day after tomorrow, Sunil is coming, is playing his final game, this, that. Let's talk about the positive things. But there are too many issues and problems around Indian football, which make it very difficult to be talking about the what is happening, what is not happening, and therefore, yeah, we're talking about the things that we're talking about at the moment. So
Yeah. Guys, if you've not liked the stream, please like the stream, because if you like the stream, then people get to know that there's a live happening. So please like the stream.
exactly, and also follow, of course, Seeded Sports and Arun Foot. Seeded Sports I've linked in the title of the video, so do follow Akshata.
I completely agree with you, Kumar. The and even with regards to cricket, I feel that even parents who are wanting their kids to become cricketers, they are also putting their kids in an academy at a very late age. आपको 3-4 साल में you have to start
India,
focusing on
India
that.
is not a sports friendly country. That
Because
is the
over
thing.
here parents are so scared. I told you about my friend, right? I remember that my friend bought a helmet for her 1 year old, because if she's playing at home and she injures herself, so she should not get hurt. A
Oh,
helmet. And these are the kind of protective parents that you see in Delhi, upper middle class, like people who have that kind of money. Most of them are like this. Everybody
and
wants to
that's
protect their kids so much.
no,
Kid,
but
don't play
I
in the
think
dust.
protection is a
Don't.
general thing, no? It's around the world. I think I jokingly say that we as kids used to literally play in the mud, but nowadays the kids are with the wipes and with and again COVID comes in as well, keeping your this clean, that clean. But it's something which is changed completely, right? And Ishan says Bangladesh getting Hamza and others may be a blessing in disguise for us. Maybe then AFF government can get a rude awakening. Ishan, there's one differentiation I have to make. The AFF has been wanting to get OCI players or PIO players for the last 20 plus years. It's not the AFF which is the problem. It is the government of India. It has been a problem with the government of India since 2001. So it includes the then Vajpayee government, then the Manmohan Singh governments, and the governments of Mr. Modi. All these governments have not done legislation or maybe even amendment to the Citizenship Act to allow players of origin to represent India. And it's not just football, it could be any sport. Tennis could be the biggest beneficiary in all of this. So, therefore,
Amendments are being made, but not to benefit sports in any way.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's highly likely they were going to royally, whatever, the U17 World Cup. With this progression, we can expect absolutely nothing. And most likely, that is something I I couldn't agree more with you, because the problem is we need as much time to prepare as possible. Indian football needs to prepare as much as possible, because otherwise we will not get to where we want to go. And we have had success when we've had exposure. I go back to 1999. Indian women's team, first time ever, came to Germany. A gentleman from southern Germany, Abdus Sattar, organized it. We lost to Japan 1-0. If we had won against Japan, we would have played at the Asian Cup. We would have played the World Cup. We were 2 goals away from in 1999. 2002, I'd organized the first ever camp for an under 17 team abroad. We reached the quarterfinals and lost 3-1 to South Korea. And we matched the South Koreans. So that exposure thing, under 17 World Cup did well because of the exposure, you know.
I don't
So
know.
so
Can you
there,
throw some
yeah.
light on what can we expect from Kuwait also? Because like they must have also made those changes and prepared in some way.
See, Kuwait knows it's a do or die match for them. I think Kuwait has, of course, they did beat Afghanistan, but they've not played too well in these qualifiers overall. And of course, they did okay. Uh, um, it is um, it's a good team. They've got players who can play a good ball. So therefore, that's something which we have with Kuwait, and we need to be prepared. We need to be prepared, and that's something which I do. The problem is, 2 days before a game, it is the 4th of June. It's nearly the 5th for you guys in India, um, and I don't know what to feel about this game. I said that to Akshata and Hiren or Rahul as well around other matches earlier. I don't know what to feel, and that is something which I find very, very scary. Very,
It
very
does not
scary.
even feel like Sunil's last game is coming up, no? I mean, like, even from the social media, I cannot get that vibe or sense of it.
So it's something of a problem. Ishan, the starting.
I also
Yeah.
learned today that the new jersey is not up for sale yet. I thought it is.
No, but no, it's not. Uh,
Technically, it should have, na? I don't know. मतलब अगर अपनी sixth को match है, sell new jerseys.
um, but yeah, but that's another topic, I guess. To discuss. The starting late thing is a pervasive problem in Indian sports. We miss out on crucial years where a lot of pattern forming and brain development takes place. Yeah, 100%. I think that's something which is of a general problem as that. Basketball can also benefit to some extent. We have some good players in Canada, USA, yes, especially in the colleges. That is something which is true. And also, no more hype for OCI players since opposition has now gained more powers. Generally, I think OCI players will still make us better, right? Because the basics are there. So for me, it's something which So for me, this is very clear that it makes sense to utilize. I mean, you you could utilize something and make yourself better. All of us would try and do it, you know, and that is something which is difficult. Ras says if government allows the OCI appear, then the next will be of national security issue. Uh, so the government will not take it for just football and sports. Raj, again, this is an Indian problem. I feel when everything which can be a problem is brushed under the carpet by saying, "Listen, it's a national security issue." It's like trying to get a mobile connection in India is has been a joke in the past, right? Now it's a little easier, but still is a joke.
Now you all you need is
if
another Aadhaar
if
card.
you are talking about an individual, if you are talking about XYZ player, you can do your homework about the player. If you think that player is a national security issue, you don't give him the right to play for India. Very simple. It's an individual check. It's not that you've got a, I don't know, when refugees in 2020 to 15 came to Germany, that you have 1 million people suddenly standing in your front of in your backyard. It's not like that where you suddenly have to check 1 million people. This is, you know, and therefore it's an easy thing to, if the will is there with the government. We're talking about potentially a few tens, few hundreds maybe in the highest. you know we're not talking about millions of people. We're not talking about CAA, as Kumar says, persecuted. We're not talking about minorities. These are Indians. These are people of Indian origin who've gone abroad. you know
Yeah.
that is how India treats its you know persons of origin, right? So therefore it is so that's the reality.
I don't know. I was gonna ask a question. It slipped my mind completely.
Igor Stimach has joined us, so Akshata ma'am,
Hi.
please say hi.
Hello.
Right? Yeah,
Hello. So
please.
if we do not perform well in the Olympics, which we won't, will do you think that can maybe change? And considering that we are looking to host Olympics in the future, do you think that can maybe change their outlook towards ocean?
I think that hosting Olympics thingy is a very, very interesting one, because if you look at, for example, China, and the Winter Olympics, I always say the ice hockey team of China was actually not Chinese. They had actually Americans and Canadians and Russians playing for them, right? Which is even a more complex thing. So India will have to think about it. Um, so therefore, yeah, let's wait and see.
But again, then
Um,
we are not even working on a plan B. I mean, we keep on talking about this, knowing that anyway it's the door is not going to open. So why not just work on grassroots?
Yeah, but then you have to, yeah, but again, your plan A has to work, no? So that's a problem. And this is interlinked. Another thing, we need to get proper coach education. For instance, I know one guy who was rejected from a few camps here in Kolkata. After that, he was selected in RFYC and won this AFF U15. Um, See, the point is selecting a player. And I know some of the people at Reliance Foundation who are, coaches or you're scouting for that thing. Maybe that guy was actually genuinely good and he wasn't picked, could be. But coaches, I've said this, coaches education is a key thing. Coaches need to be better. Our youth, our grassroots and youth competitions need to be better. They need to be stronger. They need to be intense. They need to play more matches. All of these things need to happen. Otherwise, we're not going to move forward. It's a huge problem at the moment. That is something, um, is yeah.
Alma, with regards to coaches, one question that comes to mind is: are there opportunities for our Indian origin coaches to coach teams in other countries? Like Renedy, for instance, he has the necessary licenses now. So can he maybe perhaps coach?
Not only him, any coach, Indian coach who has the basic licenses, has a certain level
I
of
think
experience, can
Floyd,
always,
yeah, I mean,
yeah,
any all of these.
they could go abroad. Any one of them can go abroad. That is not a, the problem again is that even these coaches get very, very good salaries in India. Which abroad, they would have to most probably do part-time jobs and, work somewhere else and then coaching and, get your cost covered. That's the other problem. In India, the system has spoiled everyone with money. And the money is actually not there.
Even in the I League, they're paid that much.
Think about it, that if I would take an ISL player, a standard ISL player, I would bring him to Germany. He would most probably play sixth, seventh, eighth division. Take a eighth division, he would have to play for free. And the sixth division, maybe he would get 250, 300 euros. There are players who've come back from Spain, Indian origin players, who are non-paid players on squads. You know, so therefore, no one in that Indian system is much worth as much as as we think or we hope. Uh, So therefore, Ishan says, yeah, like just like our players, our coaches also need exposure. Coaches who have that have done well. Brad, Richard, Floyd, Viviano. Yeah, I mean, I met Richard Hood. How old was Richard? Was 18 when he met him and came and met me in Düsseldorf. He was trying to become a football player and then realized it, and in the Czech Republic, then started coaching, and that's something which is very important, right? So that's something, you know. So therefore, let's wait and see. And um, Ishan, the jersey makers could have made a tribute limited edition jersey for
Absolutely.
Chetley's last match. But
Don't
how
get
many?
me started
I
on
mean,
it.
my question is to you as a fan, or to any one of you guys as a fan, how many should they have made? 100, 1,000? I don't know.
But Aruna, people can buy these jerseys. I mean, at
No,
first
no.
hand,
Can listen. Actually, the numbers are not there for merchandise in India, na. They're not
huh, but
there.
even if you don't come up with a limited edition, that is okay. Okay. But at least try to advertise them, right? Because I
That is,
did tell
see,
you about
actually,
the
that is a
656 thing
different
that we
topic.
tried.
You know, uh, that is, you know,
But
we are in a situation that selling a jersey. I mean, think about it. Even in an IPL context, none of the big kit makers from around the world are actually involved because the merchandising in the IPL is even bad. So
I don't
forget
know how
talking
much
about
was
football.
Adidas make getting for the Indian cricket team jersey.
And
But
it's people like me who are idiots who pushed Adidas towards an Indian market when the football thing was up, and then they actually looked at cricket and then decided on. And they're spending money. They're not going to recoup their costs. Adidas
but
is losing money on it.
my
They're
question
not
is
losing money
this:
on Real Madrid. They're not losing money on Man United, on Bayern Munich, or the German national team. They're making money on them. On the Indian cricket team, they will hope to make
they
money.
won't
Let's say
lose
with
money.
the World Cup, the World Cup in America is going to be important because the NRIs can dish out $100 for a jersey. That's the way they're going to try and cover their cost.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the thing, right?
They've also tied up with
Um,
Liverpool FC. But I know the point. My point is only this: that technically there's to sell Indian football national team jersey. The time is only abhi na. आप फिर बेचोगे कब? या तो आप ऐसी डील्स मत करो, या तो आप ऐसा तो नहीं है फैक्ट्री में बनी नहीं रखी होंगी, बनी भी रखी होंगी ना। तो कभी ना कभी तो बेचनी है कि आप उसे आग लगा दोगे। तो when will be the time to sell is my
but
question.
but बेचना है क्या? That would be my basic question.
This is just, I do think that if you bring in the right influencers, if you price it well, if you have the intention, you can still sell a product. The
Yeah.
intention is the big word here.
Let's see. Let's see. It's an interesting one. Shomo, BJT losing Odisha will make impact on upcoming Super Cup. I think this will be the most interesting question. If Odisha State
Yes.
will be supporting sports as Naveen Patnaik has been doing for many, many years. If not, good night hockey, and football will also face I mean, hockey even more than football will face a problem. But football will also face a problem. I don't know so far. I hope that the same bureaucrats stay, that they can maybe put some sense into the new government. But I would not be sure. Um, you know, uh, yeah, it's something.
But the
Uh,
bureaucrats anyway will go away in 3 years. Na? No, maximum to tenure there it's 3 years. Five
but but
years
I,
मान लो
but I would
extension हो
hope that the guys who've been working on things and who again Mr. Patnaik could have not done this without the right bureaucrats in those positions. I think the gentleman
definitely.
is named Vishal Kumar. I think is the name of the gentleman who's the secretary sports over there, and they've done a good job. They've done not a good job. They've done a very very good job.
Yeah, the state works different, no, bureaucratically.
So therefore, I hope that Odisha continues. Otherwise, let's see in 12 or 18 months. Let's have another conversation in mid 25 or late 25, and then we'll see if Odisha is still involved or not. Do you think U13 should be 9 versus 9 with a bigger field? This U13 seemed more like mini bar tournament, goalkeepers punting and strikers heading. Arnab, I would rather have under 13s play 11 against 11 if it's possible, because this is the transitional period. I think you can play small sided games up to the age of 12, and then you have to, from under 13s, I think I would have said start going into higher levels. Jay Gupta was playing, yes. One of them, Ishan was also playing at a lower level. Orodamoda, you do not know something about NRIs. So many of them do overaction about India after they get citizenship. They say rubbish things about India. They forgot that they were born in India. Kumar, again, um, if you want my honest opinion, I think these people have the rights to say what they think. And but the sporting thing is not something that I can generalize. But I can say for myself is that as NRIs you face, or as a person of Indian origin, you face problems which you as an Indian citizen will never face. And on certain things, I will spend more money than you will ever in your life. You know.
Yeah.
So if I go to the Taj Mahal, I have to pay more. Why do I have to pay more? Huh? Why do I have to fleece foreigners? That logic doesn't apply to me. Again, this is,
Because you bring your Firangi eyes, Arnava.
yeah,
Not our desi eyes. You have to pay more.
yeah, yeah.
But again, I need to just also want. I really want to put this out that even if they're not living in India, at the end of the day, they have the Indian roots. Everybody is allowed to criticize our country if it's not doing right.
Yeah.
We all do. We
And
have
and and
mothers in
and
our
and
houses who
and,
say
and
things
what
to us.
and what I've learned is, It is very interesting. You're saying that NRIs criticize India. I know a lot of NRIs who've been praising India and don't even know what the realities of India. So there's the other side of that story as well.
True.
So therefore that is something which I find very, very difficult. And again, if I'm talking about sports, you know, it's a win-win situation. So and Ishan, very, very good point. Um, a state like Kerala, if they were not getting money from the Middle East, or Punjab was not getting money from Toronto, Vancouver, and London, then to shut down the states. And that is something exactly. So these are realities, and that's why I say, as an NRI, I say the NRIs don't get the respect that they deserve. But again,
And they do
Ginger,
sacrifice. A lot of them have also sacrificed a lot. Nobody wants to leave their
my
land,
father's generation
technically.
went in the 60s and they left India. They came to Europe. They studied, wanted to. Some people have gone back, but most of them at some stage either returned to Germany or Europe or went to the US because they could not cope with India in the 60s. And we're talking about a different age. I mean, that India, again, I know the India of the 80s and the 90s, which I would prefer to the India that it is today. So that's the thing. And also, it will be difficult for Government of India to pass such law amendment act since opposition will oppose whatever the Government of India is doing, whether it's good or bad for future. I don't think it's an opposition topic. I think it's a topic of, if the Government of India is willing to do this, and the Government of India will have to make changes to its legislations, right? Uh, um, that this will, if you want to bid for the Olympics, you will have to open up to your, you know, foreign communities. I was reading the story about this African striker who's playing for Tajikistan, right? Who's been playing in their league. So we need to find solutions. India needs to find solutions. And if the AFF was strong, again, this is an interesting one. We had at the start when I came, Mr. Dasmunsi. Dasmunsi was a central government minister. He couldn't do anything. Then when Proful Patel also was a central government minister, he couldn't do anything. And Kalyan has come in with the backing of the BJP, but even he has not been able to change anything. So it's not an this side or that side. It is on that point. I agree with you, General. That changes need to be coming on all sides, and that's the huge challenge. Shyam Onasa, can Indian Super League Best 11 can compete with Urawa Red Diamonds, whose most players at value around 3-4 crores? A few players can we beat us? Urawa Red Diamonds can beat. I mean, if it's an best 11 with foreigners, maybe a little bit of challenge, but otherwise, you know, yeah, Urawa Red Diamonds or any J League team is better than ours. So, no comparison. Yeah, they approve. It is, or to some people, it is not. The general people also don't give F about football. It was due to Patnaik's full efforts along with a few, but common people should protest. Otherwise, it's gone. Oh no, that's the danger. I feel. I feel that's a huge danger, that the good work in sports that the Odisha government has done will be lost, and that is something, Naveen Patnaik might be criticized on other things that he's done or not done or incumbency, whatever, but he has done very, very good work for sports, for not only Odisha sports but Indian sports. That is, I think, what needs to be. He's done more than very often the central government has done. Um, Shreyam, I don't think U12 6v6 is not helping in Indian context. Either they're floating the ball forward towards the either end of goal or just throwing up big bodies or injustice, high press. Shreyam, that is the thing with system, league competitions, coaches, and guidelines. If the coaches are not willing to do that, um, you know, do the right things. Again, the coach at grassroots level should not be playing to win. He should be playing to develop players. Our coaches play to win. That's the problem. So that's something which I see.
Mutual understanding.
What about college? Again, that's India has certain problems that India is not addressing. You've not addressed the problem. It is going to be 40 years since Miss Indira Gandhi was killed. I know people who fled at the time who live here. And I've known, what struggles they've had. They've lost family in that. India does not speak about the atrocities it has, you know, incurred. You know,
I know this question is very interesting. Sorry, you can take this question.
which one? Which one?
About Parth Jindal and look what they have done. Neeraj Chopra is a beneficiary of that. I mean, it is of course a lot to do with the entire setup that they have.
See, the JSW Group, a Mittal Champions Trust in the past, with Manisha Malhotra running the project, Reliance Foundation, the Young Champs program is most probably not producing the best of players, but that is needs to be, you know.
OJQ also, they are supporting a lot of para athletes, and para athletes are doing well for us.
So therefore, the thing is that corporate India has done certain things that the government, or they've done a lot of things that the government hasn't. Give JSW the credit for multi sports.
Yeah.
Again, Mittal Champions Trust. There are other groups who've done it. The Tatas have done it. So these are things which are there, and yeah, that is
But
something.
but so technically, I mean, can you also throw some light on, as an organization and a business setup, how are they actually working? Because
My
it's also a
understanding.
CSR bit also, right?
Uh, uh, I think the main thing is that, again, some of them use it of that 2% CSR money that you can save. So therefore it's not a cost to the company, so to say. Some of them are generally interested in sports. I think someone like a Parth Jindal is generally interested in sports. The Mittal family is generally interested in sports. So they do it. That's why the Tatas have been doing it for decades in Jamshedpur at Tata Nagar. So therefore, there are different reasons why why these things are done or not done. And there are, again, as I said, there are different reasons why you do it here and you don't do it here, or do it here, or yeah, this is something which is there.
And are there global organizations also? Like we've spoken about, all of these are Indian organizations. Are there global organizations supporting any of the athletes here?
See, the IOC does its things. FIFA has helped. Other sporting global bodies have helped. Sports NGOs have been there, have been created. If you look at Magic Bus, this is an English thing, which is like very, or has been very successful in India. You see Oscar Foundation, who of course does a lot of things around football, slum soccer. There are organizations which, and they get a lot of help from abroad, and that's something which is there. And to answer Arnab's question is, um, I think what in India has not been understood is that sports is a soft power. That sports can give you goodwill. Saudis or Qataris, they call it whitewashing because they're spending so much money on sports. But others are doing it. And again, would you know Brazil? Would you know Argentina? Would you know, let's say, for running, Kenya? you know I remember this whole thing which when they asked Sharapova, if Indian media asked if you knew that Sachin Tendulkar was there, and Sharapova said, Who's that guy?" Right? And there was a huge outcry in India that Sharapova didn't know who Sachin Tendulkar was. And the same thing is, if I would ask you, the best ice hockey player from Canada? In Canada, ice hockey is the
I saw
national
this
sport.
huge.
Huh? So we don't know enough about the rest of the world, but sports is a soft power, so it's not used. Why the high press is in just because the guys are rushing forward, and you don't have space, make the field a little bit bigger. Shem, these are technical things, and again, there's a lot to be done on the technical front in Indian football. I think there's a lot that needs to be done at the AFF level, at the state level, at the city or village level. And you raise very, very valid point. Sir, do naturalized players get citizenship too? If they don't, it can be a good middle ground. Ishan Chima Okeri in the 80s wanted Indian citizenship. He's married to an Anglo-Indian woman. Ansumana Kroma is married to a Bengali girl. He's been now living for a few years. You're not giving them, you know. So therefore, to me, it's it was not. I mean, Jose Rabinus Barreto was discussed if he should be given Indian citizenship. The guy still lives here. He's working for Reliance. He's been now there for, I think, over 20 years. Nothing of it. Nothing. Guys, there's no point of discussing OCI and PO at this moment. new government will not touch any laws for next 5 years, I guess. Shomo, you could be right from a fan perspective. I, as someone who, of course, works in governance and another side, I will certainly talk to the new government. I will certainly talk and reach out to the sports minister or maybe even to the level of the prime minister and have that conversation once it's formed. If they're going to, I've tried this for the last 23 years and I will not stop. I was speaking to a couple of PIOs, OCIs a few days ago, and they want to play. But let's see. Nilashish on the AFF Futsal League. Yeah, Nilashish happening. I've seen the teams, but again, we've got other things. Let's maybe talk about this in the second half of June, when we have a little bit more info on who's playing. You know, um, Khelo India school games was a good idea, even that has fallen off. Ishan, Khelo India per se to me is not very clear of how it's working and operating. So therefore, that is something which um, again a nice idea which is badly implemented because certain states want to do it, certain states don't want to do it. And again, we are again like with the whole Santosh Trophy, National Women's Championship, Under 20 Championship, we go too much into the state business. Sports around the world is mainly done by clubs or by schools. So, and but can we create a school sports system, let's say like the Japanese? No, we can't, because our schools are not as flexible in regard to sports hours. I don't know, Akshata, how many hours of sports did you do when you were in school? I mean, that's only 2 years ago, but how many hours?
We
Three
had
years ago, you
two
were.
we had two PT periods in a week. So one was just specifically for the class, like if I was in hypothetically 12C, so 12C one class, and then one was combined the entire 12th standard.
Okay.
And in
And
your
what
12th
what
grade, that's
sports did
also
you do?
taken over by, and in all, I was telling this to Irene today, actually. So 6 months were almost close to six, sort of 5 months, 4 5 month man, were dedicated to sports day. Sports day, we used to have march past and lemon race, or those random things, or people making pyramids. And if you had to maybe play for the school badminton team, there were trials that took place in the 15-minute lunch break by by fellow students. कोई टीचर वीचर कुछ नहीं होता था. I don't
And I
know
think,
what was, and it was a con. I mean, Anwar, we had a good, big, huge ground. We also made 3 clay tennis courts. We had a big uh, basketball team. Basketball team was good. I will not deny that. But apart from that, we didn't have a team, and we had a huge ground which we used to use for march past.
and
And
there you
the
see
thing,
where the mistake is in regard to the priorities. And the problem is, again, PE teachers very often are not really sports teachers, right? Sports. So for example, when we used to go in Kolkata, for example, the sports culture in the 80s and 90s was very, very strong. We as international school, we used to fight with the Armenians, in regard, not fight, but we used to fight, meaning we used to play against them, no, multiple sports. The Armenians used to be, very strong. We used to be amongst the best in rugby in India with CCFC, and again playing football against. And then I remember there was this guy when I was 14. I looked at him and said, "Looked like a man," but he was actually 14, right? And you're trying to put as a striker, trying to get past him. And again, you had all these tournaments which nowadays do not exist for school football in Kolkata, and there were cricket tournaments, there were hockey tournaments, and again you had badminton, basketball, tennis, this and that. I mean, I remember when we used to have tennis, Leander Pace used to train at the South Club next to us, right? And he used to come over and teach us a few things and all that. It used to really fun. All of that doesn't exist anymore, and that is something
and
where you would
yeah,
think in 2024 the sporting sort of culture at school level would be much more mature than it was in the 80s and 90s.
and I don't think people keep on saying that we don't have the infrastructure. We do have the infrastructure. I recently visited this college, which is a college that sort of specializes in in teaching people who want to become physical education teachers.
Yeah.
The grounds that college has, amazing. The entire infrastructure is amazing, but when you look at the environment in that college, you will it's just so alarming that we are in 2024, and You look at teachers who are teaching students to become physical education teachers, and they themselves don't look fit enough. And
but
we're
this
still
is, and
talking about women
Ishan,
empowerment in a way that, oh my God, women, they don't understand the basics of how 2024 functions.
and this is something which Ishan is a very valid point, and expensive schools, good coaches with proper licenses. But the problem is, a good coach and a proper license doesn't, again, someone who has a license doesn't mean that he's a good coach. So you need to have the background and understanding that this guy who's going to come to your school is actually good and will teach the kids something. That is something, right? And Shreyam has a point. The sports cultures around those Christian missionary school and people with access. It's the question of how many percentages have the access. Shreyam, yes, that's certainly a point that we're talking about the upper level of things. But as actually in the 80s and 90s, you had school competitions, football, not all sports competitions actually, where it was not about just the missionary schools or the
I went
elite
to a Christian
schools.
missionary school and we did not have access to sports. I don't
Yeah.
think my school still does.
So that is something which is there, and therefore the question is also from this strata of society, we're not attracting talent. You know, again, you cannot forget that a sports like tennis, a sports like golf, badminton, these are all costly sports nowadays,
Yeah.
right? Where do they come from? But even a football, we were talking a little earlier on Drogba's channel, about Apuya and his education. I said, I welcome that an Indian footballer is looking. Apuya is not the only one. Changte is also studying, which in Europe with a lot of players is normal. That a World Cup winner in Chiellini and Oliver Kahn, I remember, used to have his study books and all that kind of stuff. That's normal, and that is
Yeah.
something that that's something. Right? Dipan says in Kolkata, I've played Reliance Cup, Subroto Cup, Dipan Cup, and a few other cups. I've played in scoot football with proper coaches, and that is something which I think is very very important.
There should
And
be
this
at
is
least a
something
culture in school to identify. No, I think even
exactly, and
today, the kids who are doing well is because their parents send them to maybe some academies, or are spending time in their training. School क्या कर रहा है? What
and
is the school doing?
look at it at Ishan saying this is where football culture comes into the picture. Africans don't even have proper grounds to develop the skills on the streets, and in India today you can't play on the streets. I mean, you will be run over by a car. I mean, that is happening. Forget the costly ones, you'll be run over by an auto or something, right? So the open spaces, which is, you don't have open spaces in any context. And that's something which we need. And also there are inter-school football and cricket tournaments within houses of schools. Yeah, you have those, you've internally you have those, and that is the culture which needs to grow. And I think that the sports ministry, or it's the sports and youth, the ministry is actually in one. I think that needs to be something, um, I don't know, it's going to be very 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 important. I'm sorry, but the parents have a huge role to play. During our time,
I agree.
the World Cup was the entry point for a football fan. It was either Argentina, or Brazil in my para. Parents must introduce them. Yeah,
I
100%. Or
agree.
no, the parents play a huge role, but how much of are the parents actually involved in the growing up and education of the kids nowadays? Because both parents mostly work. That's another factor. In the past, the mother used to be mainly at home, right? Or you used to have a
How did
para
that
where,
change? How
huh?
even that? How did even that help in technical?
Yeah. So
And
so
even like in the West, so that is the culture only.
yeah. Um. So therefore, for me, I remember in our locality, we used to come back from school, and we didn't differentiate. Who are the well-off kids? Even the kid, the housekeepers' kids used to play. Even our parents even organized booths and all that stuff for them to
Yeah.
play. With today, unthinkable. Again, this mixing of society doesn't happen, right? It is. We're talking about caste, religion, and all those kind of things, and this intermixing of people, I think, is very, very important for the growth of each individual and the growth of the country as well. And these things,
True.
that's
And
something.
growing up, my house help's daughter, who is my best friend, she still is one of my good friends. And and it anyway helps people understand things. We didn't used to have those lifts there's a different lift for people who can afford to have her house, and people who work as staff have to use the separate lift. And you're so right on this point, Anuva. There were more kids to play badminton with. There were more kids to play football with. We could even
I used
internally
to
do
I
those
used to remember I
competitions,
used to
right?
play quite well badminton. So there was this other guy I used to play, and we used to play with two girls. And the others used to play football. They were jealous because we were playing badminton with the girls. And we're like saying, guys, we're only playing badminton. Of course, they're looking at the, yeah, of course, you're playing badminton. There are other motives and all that. No, we actually, and I would say, used to play table tennis. Again, multiples, as many sports as possible, and that is something, again, and again, this is something Shoma has a point as well. Number of football pitches we're going to have. No other city can have half of it. Most of the pitches used with light, but Bengal football is language of clown IFA and the politics. Again, it's easy to blame the IFA, but I think it's also the other stakeholders as well. I think it's always, as I say, in the case of the AFF, it is easy to blame the federation. Is the federation doing the things right? No, not at all. They're doing a lot of mistakes. But again, the stakeholders who are involved, they have to play their role, that things are going. Shrem, the facility that I saw in a gun shell factory, family quarters, sports facility is not used up to potential like IIT. The facility is there, but once there's a facilities access limited. That's the other problem, right? Facilities are created. I remember I went to a school in Kolkata. Sorry. Sorry. There's a school in Kolkata where I saw the facilities, and it was amongst the best facilities I've seen in the world. But they have a sports facility which is not properly done. The turf was in inferior stuff. You realized, you could have done something with it, but then again, not the quality. Kumar says you forgot about golf India. Most of the Indians never saw the golf stick within their life. Yeah, but Kumar, it is, again, not every sport can be played by everyone. And look at, for example, cricket is played by many people. Again, do most of the people in India now start playing with a proper bat, or is it something which you use as a bat? It's same thing as in Africa or in South America. You start playing with. It's not a proper football. It's something which is made to be a football. So therefore, this culture of wanting to play sports needs to be there. I do not see in our locality, for example, when I go back, the house is still there. I don't see any kids playing on that street. And that street is a we've got a gate in front of it. It's a gated community. In the sense, not a gated community. There's a gate which closes off, so there's no main road car can come in. But none of the kids nowadays play. They're all in front of their computers or whatever else. They're not there on the road. In Bengal, we have a huge culture of Cape football, but proper integration of that Cape football with professional football is missing. They should learn from England non-league culture. Shomo, I think. Um, sorry. You're making a connection which doesn't work, because non-league football is integrated in Europe. You've got a clear-cut pyramid. Cape football is football where you play today for these guys, tomorrow you play for those guys, and the next day you play for someone else. So therefore, you cannot interconnect this thing. Cape football is competition to mainstream football. Sevens in Kerala is competition to mainstream football. It has to be said that way. At least I see it that way, and that is something it has worked.
But in
Uh,
reality, like we've seen this kind of there's this movie also of NBA, right? This person goes to different countries and picks NBA players from, who play on the street. I think it's an Adam Sandler movie, if I'm not wrong.
yeah, but
But
that
but but,
happens,
but
right?
do
I
these
mean,
things happen, right, in real life also when it comes to
no,
football in
you,
Brazil,
for
or
example,
no?
if you look at, for example, in Germany, I would have said, the World Cup winning squad 10 years ago, Mesut Özil, right, from Gelsenkirchen. Schalke 04 was his first club. He was what they call a street footballer. He learned his football on the streets and then went to Schalke and played in the academy. Florian Wirtz, for example, one of our players at Bayer Leverkusen now, is one of those, right? He wants to play always. He wants to win, and he wants to play because he's learned it on the streets of Cologne. So that is something which is, in an Indian context, you do not have street players, so to say. And just to take a few comments, so one of my school seniors played for Serie Leganes youth teams, played in I League 2, mostly due to the sports culture that we had at our school. Even basic football practice goes a long way. Yeah, that's, again, Ishan, very, very important point, that the respective school needs to have a sports culture. I remember we as international school used to have it. Again, the Armenian school used to have it. St. Stephen's, St. Lawrence in Calcutta used to have it. Don Bosco used to have it in Kolkata. be it Lilua, be it Park Circus. All these schools had the sports culture.
I was
Uh,
the school that I did my kindergarten in, first, second standard, that had a sports culture. I was really good at skating. But again, you'd leave one school and you go to the other school, and that other school does not have the culture too.
and this
Like,
is something.
like how course structure is transferred, something like this can also be inculcated in the
And
course, na?
and here the example is what Arnav says, na? Exactly. My friends were both lower middle class and child laborers from different shops in my locality. My parents didn't stop me then. Today, this is unthinkable of that. Someone is saying, someone's kids from a shop or someone is actually working on the street and he actually joins playing you football, cricket, whatever other sport. So this is and this is the question, right? Have we really progressed or have we actually not progressed? Have we regressed? And that is the question that not only India, but on a global scale, again,
No,
I think this is a
it
topic for a
sometimes
chill stream.
feels like we are back to some sort of colonization, because that's how the British used to teach us, to treat us, right? Like untouchables. And then we are treating our fellow Indians the same way. They can't use the tennis court that we play on.
Yeah.
They can't use the open gymnasium that is made for the so-called bosses. What kind of...
And this is and this, Dipan is also another good example. How for my childhood I've played in streets in my locality, on my locality, and streets and background teaches you a lot of things. And when in Reliance Cup the good ground the ground was the best and literally became mum. And this is something, right? That is something which you realize that in those days, especially Kolkata has had always very very good grounds. Except the Kolkata Maidans where you used to play football. And that's just something. Even the families that support football mean that they don't stop you. But once when we joined camp football at 14 and all, they are teaching me to take mindless ball around cone and running, and it not helps. Uh, yeah, Shyam. Then the problem is, are you going to the right camp? Right. That would be then my question. Um, the Deepan, we literally have no ground in our school, but we practiced in Rabindra Sarovar and Salt Lake Natural Grounds, and we got into quarters in the Reliance Cup. And that's something, see, even a school which doesn't have a ground, but you're committed to the sport, you did something, right? So that is something which is good. They don't stop the game when someone make mistake, and they don't care what in the game is happening. Their job is to look after running and cone drills. That is coaching. Shem, again, we go back. That's the finding the right academy to try and learn football. So sorry. So that's the problem. Um, in our school, we had a Christian Brothers tournament where different school teams would go to a school in Mount Abu to play. Yeah, those again, and that is something again. It's very interesting that those Christian missionary schools, right? We talk about what is good, what is bad, and again, missionaries are seen in a positive or sometimes also a very negative way nowadays. But some of the things that they've left behind are actually not bad.
Yeah, but they did
Um,
most of the things for boys' school, because I went to a school that was really adjacent to the school called the Saint Columbus, which is Shah Rukh Khan's school. It is one of the schools known for its sporting culture, and
yeah.
on the other hand, there's a girls' school which was building which was raising ladies with mannerisms.
I hope it helped you. Shomo,
I mean, I
next
don't know
time
how
you
you
should
know me
come
in
to
personal
Newton.
life. You've seen my manners.
Yeah, they're very bad. I know. Come to Newtown, Kolkata. You can see lots of kids coming to play everything. I would love to. Again, surely I will have a look. Sorry. Debrup says a surprising fact. Ritik Das was from my school. Nice, but again, season injured. And let's hope. And let's see what happens. Sorry, joining late, but want to know your views on women's football team performance. Those unnecessary shouting was so annoying.
What was the
Um,
unnecessary shouting?
Again, we were not listening,
Yeah.
so
I wish
therefore
we
I
were
can't
doing a
say.
live and then we were watching the match.
Yeah, so therefore
On.
we were on mute. So view on the game again. Those two games overall very poor. I would say not good enough for international football, and question marks need to be asked. No,
Yeah,
you
yeah, yeah. I mean, we've spoken. Are
see
you? You can
see
go back
see,
and listen
see
to our rant in the beginning.
So that's
But
the
also, please do highlight on the shouting bit if you can, right? Thanks. Do let us know about it. What was the shouting all
Arnav
about?
says one time the goat said "Gir jao."
Oh, wow.
Okay, okay.
This is a light, okay?
Shem said we played street football challenge gets more intense when someone parked the car in front of our street when we used to master to take ball in the air and control. We used to beat boys off field once. Actually, yeah, I remember there was this neighbor who used to on purpose used to park the car, and again, if you by any chance touch the car, in simple language, we were screwed. So therefore, you develop certain skills to play around the car. That was like a living obstacle. Ishan speaking about today's world, they can't even use the lifts. Domestic hills have a separate lift usually. Yeah, that's again, this is the division that India sadly lives in these
Yeah.
days.
The Angrezo
Um,
Bharat Chodo wala point.
so that's him. What are your views on Classic Football Academy? Ayush, if I look at what Renedy has created, which was of course the Renedy Football School at the start, and then Classic came forward, Classic Group, of course, who run hotels in Imphal, that they've believed in his vision and have taken it forward. 5 years down the road, they've now won twice the under 17 youth league. Great work. The question is now with Renedy being at BFC, can Chitra and the other coaches do the work and continue what Renedy has started? I hope they do, and that they produce even better players than what you're producing. That's the hope. That if an academy like that with limited resources, with all the problems that are there in Manipur, I don't even know which boys are playing or not because it was actually Mites and Cookies in one team, right? I don't know if the Cookies have returned because this the team is in the valley, so I don't know if the Cookies have actually returned from to play. So but again, they've done a brilliant job, and I wish them all the best, if you ask me. So these are the kind of things that we need more in Indian football. But again, if someone like Renly does it with all the knowledge and all the understanding that he has, is yeah, great work so far. But not only missionary school, Ramakrishna Mission Residential School also focus on sports. So we come from there. Again, it's um, there is there are different schools, yes, but it needs to be more. I think that's the point that uh, uh, um, uh, um, that is something. Oh, on a interesting. I didn't know that fact. Classic is only Mite now, and football for change is Cookie. Okay, thank you for that clarification. And that's the sad part, right? That actually the best Manipuri players have to play in two academies rather than playing in one, but both of them actually reach the latter stages of the under 15 and under 17 championships, right? So, despite again, and this is sort of it's like when let's say a Palestine is playing football or a Syria is playing football. It's a similar situation, and this is happening in India. It is not somewhere obscure, but the rest of the country doesn't care about it. No, sorry that I took that. Probably, I think you yourself have to have a serious love for a particular sport. My dadu played for Kaligat Milon Chongo and was offered by Mohnbagan but couldn't continue. So I think family matters a lot. Dipan, that's an added thing. That the family is one. Is there a love for sports? Is there an interest of sports? Are they open to for you to do sports as well? So these are very very critical factors in in enabling you to be in sports and do sports. Otherwise, I think it's just not possible. I don't know what you think, Akshata.
Yeah, absolutely. To have a future, to have a present, all of it. If your
But
family is not supporting you, then it gets really challenging. And also, no, I do feel, I mean, I have said this a lot of times already, but I do feel that when you have that kind of a support from a parent, that your parent is putting that effort to build you in a certain way,
hmm,
that changes, right? That changes things. And we have seen that in the biggest of athletes in the world, that they were identified at a young age, that their parents did spend that time with them.
yeah, yeah. So I got my brother to watch Tri Nation Cup in Manipur. He's half converted already. Even watched a few Duran Cup games. Ishan, very good. Force him to watch more. Maybe force him to watch our lives as well. Huh? So
And subscribe to our channels also.
exactly, all of those of you who are watching, thank you at this time. Um,
Yes. And like the stream, guys. When you
and
like the stream,
and the
YouTube
Payan,
informs others.
I literally broken so many windows. Some of the neighbors literally continue to transfer me to other lanes of my locality, and then the argument starts to play on the field. I know what you're talking about. We had this one neighbor of ours who also had a lot of, let's put it this way, nicely broken windows, but he never actually complained. So and I think on two or three occasions the ball broke a window and the glass went into the ball and the ball was punctured. He actually got us a new ball. So again,
Oh,
I guess unthinkable today, because nowadays most probably some people try and beat you up. That kind of gundagiri mentality.
yeah. Even I had this lady in my society who used to just yell at people that if yell at all of us kids if we used to make noise while playing. She was so कि हमारे बच्चे पढ़ रहे हैं.
And that's the challenge, I guess, that
And
is.
but the solution was, I don't know, we had to convince their kids to play with us then.
Um, what's your opinion on Umang Dodum? Again, another one of those talented players, but give them time, and again, it'll take time, and yeah, that's something. Yeah, you should read history of Kuki and Mitev 140 years back. What happened? Who are natives? Who are outsiders? Kumar, again, divisive. Who are natives, who are outsiders, these things could have been sorted if the politicians were seriously interested to sort this out. The politicians have kept this problem alive for decades because it has favored their narrative, right? This is about the people. If you've been in a territory for over 140 years, then you can't say it's natives and outsiders. Then you have to say that I'm here in Germany, I'm outside. I'm not an outsider. I see myself as a German as well. You know. I get so angry when parents nowadays act crazy on a small cut of or injury and tell them to quit football. The parents say leave football. Arnab, I think it's with everything. With parents. Uh, Parents don't want kids to be injured. Kids will fall. You know, kids will have bruises, cuts. Hopefully not broken anything. I think that's the thing to avoid. But again, they will injure. Kids are kids, and if you stop, this is like in European football, because they've now done so many studies in England. They want to stop kids from hitting the ball. So are you going to learn it with 18 or something? Then you know again, we have to safeguard the interest. We have to the spaces need to be safe, be it for kids, be it for women, be it even for men. But there are certain things, again, you will in a sport. It's like saying in boxing, "Arey bhai, you can't hit the other person," and then stop the sport. So that's the challenge, and
It all
I
of
would
it is
say
character development at the end of the day. You can't protect people all your life.
exactly. Shreyam says, I would say some parents have passion for sports in Kolkata. Parents also don't know what that his son or daughter needs to have technical understanding of game. See, Shreyam, it if that came from the parents, it would be ideal. But I don't think that is sort of the reality with the parents. So for me is um, the inputs needs to come from the coaches, and maybe even from the kids, right? So therefore these are the things that are very very uh, 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 so therefore, yeah, that's something which I feel is which needs to come, but the parents need to support the kids, that the kid ideally football, but actually play sports, and so therefore, let's see. Do you have any information on the current state of CD Olympic de Shativa, a Spanish club owned by the owner Sudeva C? The owner even got a few young Indian players to play in them. I haven't heard anything about Sativa for a while, actually, to be very, very honest, Ishan. I don't know what it is. Sorry, Siddharth. Hi, sir. Big fan of your commentary and your honesty. My daughter has started playing football at 8. Sorry. My daughter started playing football at 8, and I'm amazed in US how many kids play football, even if it's not the fifth popular sports. Yeah, so that again for women, for girls in America, or even generally for kids. My brother-in-law and my cousin sister have moved to the US as well. He's a football crazy guy. used to be involved in the Kolkata football scene. He's now coaching his own son in a team, right? And he says, and the son is enjoying it. So there are a lot of opportunities. So therefore, yeah, let's hope that the things are. But hitting really cause concussion, at least the balls in India, which are heavy and leather ones. Again, Shyam, yes, concussion surely is a topic, but the point is you can work around it, right? We used to work with a heading pendulum. I mean, if that is that bad, then I don't know where my head would be. Last few questions. I think Akshat and I both need to slowly leave. Exactly. I live in a society. My friends used to shout my name at 5:30 in the morning. Nowadays, I'll be kicked out if someone something like this happens. Times have changed, but sadly, we
Absolutely.
have to adopt. And that's
But
something,
then
right?
this,
I
yeah,
remember at 6 in the morning. Yeah, we used to leave at when was the school bus used to come at 7:30. In the worst case, you know, uh, and we used to play from 6 to 7, have a shower, and then used to go to school. It's unthinkable today, and
parents
then used
themselves
to
will not
come
wake up
back
in the
by
morning
four
for.
thirty-five in the afternoon. Again, there were used to be floodlights. We used to ask an uncle, "Can you put on your veranda light so that there was light?" And you used to play different sports.
Yeah. Also,
Crazy.
I think social media and so many distractions now. And I think also as a society, I mean, I remember growing up, we used to have unannounced guests at home. People used to just randomly come and visit, or kids. I used to be at my neighbor's place. My mom used to call me for dinner. या कभी कभी उन्हीं के घर में dinner कर लो. But that entire culture altogether has vanished.
Yeah. I think interesting question. Do you see a different mentality, second, third generation Indians abroad, since they're the highest earners? Are they more accommodative when it comes to choosing sports as a career? Ishan, yes and no. Depends of how Indian you are or how Western you are. I always say, right? So therefore, it's something is let's see. When I was in class third, I broke my right hand while doing goalkeeping, but my parents never stopped me from playing. Ayush, brilliant, brilliant. If you've done that, Kumar, I'm not going to answer your, conspiracy theories. I think I was lucky to study in a school where sports and academics have same importance. Joined as 10-year-old, we used to get days off for practicing sports. Facilities were great too. Yeah. Again, Malikarjun, if you had that, it's great. Recently, I had Floyd Pinto saying that in Europe, you say there is a division between recreational and professional coaches when getting licenses. Can we do the same? You indirectly have it because, again, the recreational coaches, so to say, are the coaches who are coaching E, D, and C. It becomes professional from B. There is a pro B, a recreational B. Maybe that can be done in India, but otherwise, I would say that it is somewhat of a similar thing as with the licenses. And last question, Dipan, my mother always sent me to go play, but I always had to field in cricket, so I changed my sport and found internal love for football. And I always humiliated cricket seniors who doesn't let me bat. Nice, nice. Thanks a lot again on this conversation and that we were able to talk a little bit more general on this topic. Thanks a lot because I think it's very important to be able to speak about these things and again share these stories. And I'm positively surprised that some of you actually have had the same experiences of how we got into this sport, and how we love not only football but sports. I mean, we used to play all year through something or the other, and therefore, Akshata, thanks again for
Thank you.
taking time out, and all of you who are still there. It's I know it's quite late in India, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to Arunfoot. Please subscribe to um, Seeded Sports. Subscribe also to our other social medias. And tomorrow, preview, of course, India versus Kuwait the day after Sunil's final game. Thanks a lot, guys, and good night.
Good night.